So if you've ever wondered why sometimes men do things a certain way or think a certain way, let me share a man's perspective, and hopefully this is useful. Okay? The first thing you have to realize is that most, if not all, but most men feel that their masculinity, right, their manhood, is always open to the possibility of being questioned. Okay? It's not a for sure thing. In other words, if a man takes a wrong turn, his manhood can get questioned. Okay? It's in jeopardy. So being a man is not something that's automatic. It just doesn't happen all by itself, right? When you have a little boy, there's no guarantee that that little boy is going to grow up to be, quote unquote, a man. Okay? There's a metamorphosis that has to happen between a boy and eventually turning into a man. Okay? A boy must be bred into becoming a man. You have to cut the umbilical cord at some point, right? Going from a boy to a man. And a man has to understand the meaning of the word dignity, the meaning of the word responsibility. Okay? This doesn't happen automatically. Now, let me give you an anchor of comparison. A woman doesn't really have her femininity questioned. Okay? A woman is a woman. Her femininity is always intact. Okay? Doesn't matter what's going on, her femininity is never questioned. So it doesn't matter, like a bad woman is still a woman. Right? A bad woman is still a woman. It doesn't matter what happens. A bad woman could do one of the most horrible things out there. A bad woman could abandon her family. Okay? But a woman who abandons her family is still a woman. Okay? And there'll be different labels slapped to that. Okay? She could be a confused woman. Right? A confused woman is still a woman. She could be a promiscuous woman. Right? A promiscuous woman is still a woman. Right? There is a double standard. And it's not to say that there's not double standards in favor of men or women or vice versa, right? I'm simply pointing out this double standard to highlight and underscore the point that I'm trying to make. A woman is allowed to be wounded. She's allowed to be confused. She's allowed to be a woman. Her femininity is intact, okay? A woman is allowed to be wounded, okay? If a woman is damaged, a damaged woman is still a woman. If there's a woman in need is still a woman, right? With men, it doesn't necessarily work that way. A man who does something horrible, right, like abandon his family, a man who abandons his family is not a man. The moment a man abandons his family, his manhood is gone. You revoke his man card, right? A man is not allowed to be wounded. Not in that regard, okay? A man has to provide for his family whether he's appreciated or not. Okay? The moment you divorce yourself from that responsibility, your manhood is questioned. Okay? So your manhood is based on your performance. What you do, it's behavioral values. So the way you perform as a man determines whether you get to keep your manhood. Okay? Your performance in your finances, the performance of your car, the performance of the gym, your athletic performance, your performance in bed. Your manhood is constantly being judged, and it's all based on your performance. Now, if your manhood is based on behavioral values, okay, you have to realize this is a social prescription of what is expected of you. This is what society tells you. Society says you need to behave this way or you're not a man. In other words, there's an ultimatum at play in order for a man to keep his manhood. Okay? If you can't defend your own space and preserve your manhood, you can't defend your woman or your children. It's questioned. Do you see what I'm saying? So the psychology of a man Again, this is just a man's perspective. The psychology of a man cuts a little deeper because you know that if you take a wrong turn, your manhood is going to be questioned. A woman's femininity, they don't have that ratio, not for the most part, right? A woman is always a woman, right? A man has to protect and preserve his manhood. This is ingrained from birth, okay? This is engraved in a boy's mind as soon as they're old enough to understand what their gender identity is. Okay, this is what's imposed on the child. So there are different expectations that a man has.